Namaste. I have managed to override whatever it needed, so let us hope that we'll have a productive and a mercury free session. So, yeah, there we go. So, that's a way to look at it. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we were we were having an appetizer last time, and I said, let us see if we can get ready for the next, the next course by making this week be full of what is called palate cleansers. So, what is the verse here? Dve akshare brahmapare tu anante vidya vidye nihite yatra gudhe ksharam tu avidya hi amritam tu vidya vidya vidye ishate yah tu saha anyah. Very nice verse and very provocative in the sense that it plays, yes, it plays with the mind like a gymnast, like a trapeze artist vaulting from one pole to another, or from going from, swinging from one place to another place, as it were effortlessly. This verse also does that. you know Makes the buddhi go here and there, and that's the idea. The buddhi is jumping to grasp what is being told. The buddhi then catches on to a bar and walks on the bar, and the buddhi has to do a tightrope. It doesn't know where it is. And that's exactly where we want the buddhi. Because if the buddhi is able to figure everything out, because the buddhi is the quintessential figurer outer. Yeah, because it likes to categorize, it likes to grasp things as objects. So buddhi is an expert where objects are concerned. The buddhi has to take a back seat where the knowledge, not of objects but of the subject, is concerned. The buddhi has to be the receiver of the knowledge, not the initiator of the knowledge. That's what the thing is. The buddhi can be the initiator of knowing everything. That is called Tula Avidya. Yeah. So this is a technical expression. Moola avidya and Tula avidya. Tula avidya means ignorance of objects. Yeah, ignorance of objects, Tula avidya. So here the buddhi reigns supreme. The buddhi deploys the sense organs and says, go, find out what that is. Go, do this. Just like in the Kenopanishad we saw in the last year's retreat. We saw that in the Kenopanishad, Indra, which is the buddhi, who symbolizes the mind, the buddhi, sends the various sense organs to find out certain things. And here Brahman is pratyaksha, sakshat. So the Brahman is standing there in person. Brahman has taken on an avatara of a celestial, a mysterious celestial being, attractive yet very mysterious. And the buddhi in the form of Indra deploys the sense organs in the form of Lord Agni, fire, and Lord Vayu, air. The various. Agni is of course sight, and Vayu symbolizes touch. So the buddhi here deploys two sense organs to objectify that which is itself. And that's why, this avidya is mysterious. Gudha. Gudha means hidden. It is hidden from oneself. Last time we saw the various combinations, some dangerous and some okay. Like what? You don't know that you don't know. Blissfully ignorant. I don't know that I don't know. Great. And then slightly better than that, I know that I don't know. Better. Because that person has the potential to be a mumukshu. Because honest. And then what? First I don't know, I don't know. I know that I don't know. And the next one is very dangerous. What is that? What is the third one? I I don't I don't know what I know. I don't know that, sorry, no, let's do it all over again. Somewhere it got mixed up. First, let's take the two opposites of the continuum. I don't know that I don't know. Great. Then I know that I know. Great. Those two are at the extremes of the continuum. Then you have, I know that I don't know, a potential mumukshu. And then I don't know. I know that I don't know. I don't know that I know. I don't know that I know. That is dangerous because you don't know what you know. What you know, you don't know. So you could have wrong knowledge, full of all kinds of inhibitions, inhibited knowledge, vague knowledge, wrong knowledge, erroneous knowledge, and so therefore the buddhi is very active in being able to categorize, classify, grasp as objects the world of what is called Tula. Tula means the manifest, universe. It is able to do that. So the Tula avidya is not a problem because, it's all relative. I don't know something. I don't know flower. Very easy to get to know the flower, not a problem. Find out from somebody who knows, go objectify it, finished, done. But then, what about Atma? What about yourself? And the buddhi here is a very stubborn buddhi. Backed by the ahankara, it is constantly trying to figure out the Atma as an object. Going back to that story, so Indra sends, fire, which symbolizes sight, sight and speech both, and tries to grasp this, and the fire comes back without the sight, the faculty of sight and speech symbolized by the fire beat a retreat. And then Vayu goes and tries to touch the celestial being. Vayu symbolizes the sense of touch. So the sense of touch then goes dutifully deployed by the buddhi to find out about the self and comes back equally beating a retreat. And Indra symbolizing the mind, the buddhi, Indra himself goes and it's not available for the mind. The yaksha, the celestial being, which is the truth and the content of Indra himself, and the content of Vayu, and the content of fire, and the content of all the indriyas, sense organs, the mind, the ahankara, that which is the Ishate, the one who reigns over all this, the witness of all this, is a slippery customer. Like in the villages, what happens, when they go to these good for nothings, riffraff, when the riffraff goes to rob the people. Sometimes people leave their door open, window open, because the village, trusting place, small place, everybody knows everybody, and so they're not constantly like the city people locking up everything. So, and these people go to give instant vairagya, to some houses and the owners of those houses. So then, these people, what they do? They oil themselves. How do they oil themselves? Nicely. Slip, 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 slip. You have to oil yourself so nicely that you know you are not available for anything. And so they oil themselves. Just wear a loin cloth, oil yourself, and go and relieve people of their belongings. And supposing somebody comes home, after all, it's their house, they can come and go anytime. And then they apprehend this fellow in the act, and a few people try to catch him. They catch his hand, slip. They catch the leg, slip. They catch the torso, slip. So, this Brahman is a very slippery customer, not available for catching, and this is the purport of this particular mantra. This mantra is very laden with a number of, very delicate nuances that I hope to be, that we hope to be seeing today. And the first one is that it is not an object. But that was already told before. Yeah, it was told many times. But did you understand? That's the question. Well, yeah. I'm still somehow feeling like, Brahman, when I know it should advertise itself. It should come with a bang. Yeah. that pipasa, that thirst to know Brahman as a object, as an object, as something that I can comfortably grasp, is an age-old, desire. Because it's based on the mechanism of the mind and the buddhi. The mind and the buddhi are born to grasp things, and grasp they will. That's all they know how to do, and they are very well equipped to be let loose in the world of objects, because they can point, they can name, they can classify, they can put in a box, and they can use the reference of one particular thing to classify another thing. Oh, the lily is just like this other flower, and or the rose is like this camellia but without the scent. The petals looks the same, and if you look at the rose, same colored rose and the camellia from afar, then you may confuse. So this rose knowledge that was there, in the mind, then jumps out of its folder. Like in the computer, it jumps out of this folder and shines its similarity on the camellia knowledge, and it's able to distinguish where the similarity ends and what are the differences. It can write so many PhD theses. That's why the world of Thula Avidya, the object, ignorance is vast. You can keep writing PhD theses, you will never run out of topics. And if you run out of topics, all you have to do is write another thesis and counter what the previous fellow said. Finished. So, therefore, this Thula Avidya is something huge. And so, when you talk of ignorance, we already see that there are two kinds of ignorances. And the first one has to do with the ignorance of the objects, and the second one has to do with the ignorance of oneself, the subject. But then why do we have to make this distinction? We have to make this distinction because we cannot afford anymore to go about resolving the ignorance of the subject in the same manner that we resolve the ignorance of the objects. Simple, very simple. Because if we use the same means of knowledge to resolve the subject ignorance that are used to resolve object in ignorance, there is a mismatch. Why? Because it is you. What you are trying to grasp at is you. You are ungraspable because you are that awareness, that consciousness, because of whose presence everything is. And everything is graspable. Everything is graspable except you. Oh, you. Now I have a complex. What is the complex? Why only me? Why only I am not graspable? Everything else is so graspable. Why me? The buddhi has become buddhu. Buddhu means, The top story is for rent. There is a to let sign on the forehead, meaning the buddhi is not being used. Because what is missed in this monologue, and in this sad monologue about how one is not available for grasping, then how am I to know? What is missing is the fact that you are self-aware. So you are aware of yourself without needing a pramana. No pramana, means of knowledge, can establish the existence of the Atma, because the Atma is self-declaratory. It declares itself. Aham, 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 as I. Atma means aham. And that's why the word Atma has two derivations. Atti Sarvan, the first derivation has to do with the objects. Atti means eats. Eats everything means it's a consumer of all the information, all the knowledge of objects. And then what? The next definition is apnoti sarvam, vyapnoti sarvam iti atma, that which pervades everything. You see? Wonderful. So here, that which pervades everything is you. And that you is lending your existence to every single thing in the universe. You're lending your existence. It is your existence that is manifest as the tree, as the flower, as the grass, as the seasons, as all the people that you like, as all the people that you have problems with, that it is just your own extension. The extension of you, tanoti means is spread, encompasses and embraces every manifest name, every manifest form, is not without your existence. And your existence is the source of every single thing that dares to call itself existent. And call itself it cannot. That's why it is dependent on you to objectify it. Do you see the beauty of this discussion? The analysis which the Shruti has given is brilliant. So, this Tula Avidya, the ignorance of objects, is not a problem. Why is that not a problem? Because it is easily resolved. Because you have the ways and the means to be able to locate the ignorance and to be able to dismiss the ignorance. Very easy. And the whole universe is waiting to be called out, literally. So the grass is there, the trees are there, the five elements are there, the fire, the rivers are there. Mother Ganga is there. Oh, everything is just there. Everything, the whole universe is just flowing and waiting to be called out. Nature is waiting to be called out. Everything is waiting to be called out. Because you are that sole source of sentience that can name, that can bring to light all the objects in the universe. They depend on you, on your jnanam here, yes. And which jnanam? Both of them, both the knowledge of the objects and the subject, which is all knowledge. Yeah. The subject is all knowledge, ever shining that awareness which is aware of itself and aware of everything else, which is untouched by ignorance. That awareness is you. That consciousness is you. So the whole world of names and forms are just dependent upon you. And who is that you? Brahma aham. Aham Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. If everything is Brahman, then if everything is Brahman, you can't leave yourself out. I am Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Atma Brahma. It's all, it's all the same. Tattvamasi. Tattvamasi means, the teacher says Tvamasi Tat, and the student says Aham Brahmasmi. So this whole universe of names and forms is Brahmashraya. It takes refuge in Brahman. And I want to point out something in the verse here. Very nice. And it says, Dve akshare brahma pare tu anante nihite. Dve nihite brahma pare tu anante. Parabrahmani, in this Brahman, which is the ultimate. What happens? Dve vidye nihite. Two kinds of, two things are evident. Two things are nihite means placed. So the Saptami, the seventh case, that's why, because there is a certain kind of a thing of placement, but also the seventh case must be read as a Vishaya Saptami. So Brahma Vishaye, Vishaya Saptami means the topic for which is Brahman. Because if you say that ignorance and knowledge are both placed in Brahman, then we are left with two things. Brahman is the Adhara, the located things where things are located, and all other things are objects that are located in Brahman. Like if I take a pot and put a few coins, the pot becomes the locator and the coins become located in the pot. So that's why, we have to look at it as the Brahman is the Ashraya, as though. The word as though should not leave our lips as Vedantins. Yeah, as though. And that's why we take Vishaya Saptami. The Brahman is the topic, upon which both Vidya and Avidya are centered. Pare Brahmani. So Brahma Vishaya, Avidya, Brahmashraya, Avidya. So therefore, what? So this, so back to this discussion of the Avidya of names and forms. That's not an issue. That's not a topic at all. Why? Because Thula Avidya, Avidya of objects, drops on its own. Every day you learn something new. You open the paper. Of course, that's itself, a very distasteful thing sometimes to open the paper, because, so many killings, so many people getting robbed, so many people dying, so many people. It's very depressing, The news is not good most of the time. But anyway, you open the paper, you learn something. That's why in between all this bad news about war there and people dying here and chemical warfare, what all is this, People are just, using nerve agents and children and all these things. Okay, very depressing. In between there will be some kind of a human interest story. And that's how the newspapers can continue to be in existence. Otherwise it will be so depressing, nobody will even read online or offline, nobody will subscribe, nobody will read. So that's why they'll have some kind of human interest story, something that catches and tugs at the heart. And they will also have some informative kind of a thing. Like, did you know that now, that in this particular village somewhere in the south of France, they bake one cake which takes, 5 hours of roasting it on some fire. They just roll it on the fire. It looks like a Christmas tree. Did you know that? No. But you found that out. Why? Because you logged into BBC. It is there. Don't log in now. Okay. Yeah. Afterwards you can read all about it. It's an ancient recipe, and they have a cone-shaped something which they put it on the spit. It's a barbecue. It's a barbecue cake. Yeah, barbecue cake. So then they make the cake batter has to be done in a certain way, and then you just keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it, and 6-7 hours later you get this wonderful, delicious, fire roasted concoction, and which looks very, Very, very nice, picturesque. And so, and so you can get the recipe of the cake and you have become wiser, because now people will start inviting you to parties because you know so much and you can entertain people. So some use is there of all these things. So this is how you keep learning new things. Who knew that somewhere in this village in the south of France they are now, they are now charged with keeping this recipe alive because nobody knows how to make this and all these things. So likewise, if you open any other newspaper of any other country, you will have some kind of, you'll keep gaining this knowledge. And this knowledge means the knowledge of names and forms is unending. Why? Because Anante Brahmani, Anante Brahmani. It is in that it is Ashraya, if that upon which it is leaning is completely limitless. So the names and forms are limitlessly spread. And so you can spend lifetimes after lifetimes after lifetimes studying about a lot of things, or you can spend one lifetime studying deeply about one small thing, and even that becomes, keeps morphing into many, many, many. Zika virus. I mean, finished. Whole life is gone studying it. How does it do? What does it do? How does it affect? Where does it breed? What does it eat? Finished. And then you can say that, okay, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. Even in Tula Vidya, lot of hypotheses are dismissed. Neti, neti, not this. And then you have to come up with new things. Whole life gone. Zika lives. Victory is mine, it says, That's what it is. So Tula Avidya is endless. It cannot be overcome. And it's frustrating because one wants to catch a hold of everything, but you can't. How many things can you catch a hold of? For everything you know, there are many things you don't know. And there will always be many, 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 many more things that you don't know and you will never know. Why? Because the mind is limited. Buddhi is tiny. So this tiny buddhi, speaking of tiny, one more Thula Avidya piece. There was one kind of a salamander, I think, ancient salamander called Tiny. And you know why? Because it had a tiny brain. The whole animal was called Tiny. So that could be our own epithet, tiny. So this tiny brain, how many things is it going to grasp? How many things is it going to know? How many things is it going to remember? How many things can it objectify? Can't. You can't travel everywhere. You can't know everything. You can't have everything in the tips of your fingers. Not possible. That's why it is frustrating. Because the desire for knowledge, this jigyasa, is inbuilt. One is hardwired for jigyasa. Any kind of knowledge. Tula avidya or Mula avidya, both of them are the, are the topics for jigyasa, because this ignorance becomes unbearable. So that particular category that we talked about, I know that I don't know, becomes unbearable. Why? Why is it unbearable? Because you need to know. You know that somehow this all knowledge is, I want to become all knowledgeable. I want to become Bhagavan, Sarvavit, Sarvavetritvam, I want to know everything in particular. Sarvajnatvam, I want to know everything. Generally speaking, I want to be Bhagavan, I want to know. And that knowledge is power. Isha. Yeah? That knowledge is power. Knowledge is always power, and it is because that, because one feels that the more I know, the more powerful I am. And the person sadly doesn't know but that there is something else to know, knowing which all these things are as though known. This is Chandogya Upanishad. Do you know that one thing? Uddalaka asks his son, who is full of Tula Vidya, who has come back from the Gurukula, the ancient university, with a lot of knowledge about what? Nothing. Yena vijnanena sarvam vijnatam iva bhavati. Through, do you know that knowledge through which everything becomes, as it were, known? Really? There is that one knowledge? Is there a master knowledge because of which all these other things that I have this thirst to know and to grasp and to want, all that goes away? Yes. Yes, there is. And that is what? That is the knowledge of Mula, the truth of everything. That knowledge, you know. That knowledge, once you know, everything is as well as known. That pipasa, the thirst to know all these things and the thirst to experience things and the thirst to, devour all these things are gone. And Adi Shankara, puts it beautifully in a bhashya somewhere. He says, Aptakamatvam hi atmakamata. Elegant, simple, gorgeous, beautiful. Aptakama means the one who has gained everything that one needs to know, everything that one has desired. So this is the word Aptakama is a very traditional and a beautiful word describing a jnani. So the person of self-knowledge is called Aptakama. And Aptaha, Kamaha, yena, by whom all kamas, all desires are gained. So then, that seems like a Aptakama, all right, but that to reach that level, it must be some big jnanis, not me. It is Aptakama is for people like Pujya Swamiji, for Adi Shankara, Vyasa, all these great sages and exalted gurus in the lineage, but not me. How can I be Aptakama? Adi Shankara says, Aptakamatvam, the status of being Aptakama, he indeed is Atmakamata. So, Atmakamata means Atmakama and Aptakama, they sound similar, and they are very much linked. Atmakama means the desirer of Atma, solely Atma. You forget all the other objects and you focus on Atma in a very genuine way. The pursuit of Atma is done properly for that person. The one who has a tivra ichha for knowing the Atma is indeed Aptakama. That's all is needed. So you can all call yourselves Aptakamas if you have Atmakamata. Aptakamatvam hi Atmakamata. So the definition of the Jnani is the one who has the desire for knowing oneself. That's all is needed. Very beautiful. So back to this discussion. That which cannot be grasped, that which is just you, and that's why it is hidden, because we want to grasp it and it is right there, but it is out of reach. So Gudha, and even Tula, avidya is Gudha, because you don't even know so many things you don't know, and so vidya vidye nihite yatra gudhe, and then what? And then nihite yatra gudhe ksharam tu avidya. So this avidya, has to be centered on Brahman, because the jiva itself is centered on Brahman. Jiva is Brahman, so avidya is also included in Brahman. It cannot have another source, because if it has another source, then it becomes yet one more thing and it will never go. But here, ksharam tu avidya, here it goes. Ksharam means nashvaram. Subject to destruction indeed is ignorance. Why? Because the potential for knowledge is there. Yes. Adhikari shariratvam ashaste. Adhikari shariram ashaste. Ashaste means there is an expectancy that that given the right kind of body-mind complex, the potential for knowledge the potential for ignorance to be completely removed is there. But the body has to cooperate. Huh? You know, I can teach. People say, oh, the cat takes the classes, my dog takes the classes. Yeah, but I can teach them. Why dog? Even cockroach we can teach. We can tell the roach, hey roach, Tattvamasi, you are not roach, you are limitless Brahman. You can pick it up and teach it, you are limitless Brahman. Oh roach. And what will it say? Mahyam Brahma rochate. Rochate means pleasing to me. Brahman is pleasing to me, it can say. That's why I am called Roch. Rochate eva Brahma Mahyam. Brahman is pleasing to me, but it will not say that. Why? Because for the lack of, what's its name? Proper Sharira. The proper body, mind, sense, equipage is not there. That assemblage is not there where it can have, it can make this avidya go. It will all live with this avidya. Next life, maybe a different life form. After cockroach, what comes? Something else may be coming. Not evolutionarily speaking. But karmically speaking, it's a different kind of a, thing. It can jump around. Yeah. Somebody said, oh, once you have human life, you can never go back to animal life. Not true. Not true. Once you have human life, you will never go back to animal life as long as you have tivra atma kamata, as long as you have very strong desire to know yourself. Then only it is assured that next time you will be born. Yeah, labhate paurvadehikam. Bhagavan Krishna says, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashtah Abhijayate Athava Yoginam Eva Kule Bhavati Dhimatam. And that samsarga is there, that connection will be there. Because such a person will be born into the house of jnanis, or will be born in a family that is conducive to jnanam. They don't oppose the person not taking up a job and reproducing samsara. They say, okay, do whatever pleases you. And they themselves are desirous of this knowledge, but they were not able to pursue it. So they are very happy when the offspring pursues it. So that kind of a punya is what is needed. So therefore what? So therefore ksharam to avidya. It is ksharam only when under the right circumstances we can call avidya ksharam. Ksharam means subject to destruction under the right recipe. And the right recipe first of all is adhikari sharira durlabham narajanma. Durlabham Narajanma, Viveka Chudamani says, so, human birth is not easy. Why? Because so many factors, so much punya has to come, so much desire for knowing has to be there. And then only the human birth takes place. Jantu Nam Narajanma Durlabham. And so, therefore what? And then Narajanma, the human birth is itself durlabha, difficult to gain. And then on top of that, what else is difficult? Durlabham trayame vaitat. Manushyatvam, difficult to gain. Mumukshutvam, the desire to be free. And then what? Mahapurusha samshrayaha, and the gain of a guru that will help set this pramana in operation and to help to remove that ignorance, which is there. So ignorance is Brahmashraya, and that means what? Brahman is ignorant? No. Brahman is not ignorant. Brahman is all knowledge, but it is a knowledge that is unopposed to ignorance. Yeah. It includes the ignorance, because the ignorance is an eclipse of a certain set of conditions in a certain upadhi, In the Upadhi, the shine of that Brahman, which is all knowledge, is eclipsed, and that ignorance is unopposed to Brahman. So if the sun is covered by clouds, you cannot say the sun is not shining. You know, Ghanachinna Markam, Ghanachinna Drishtihi, Manyante Atimudhaha, Hastamalakiyam. So the person goes out and says, oh, cloudy day, oh, the sun is covered. And Hastamalaka, the student of Acharya, Adi Shankara, says, it's not that the sun is covered by clouds. Oh Mudha, oh deluded one, your vision is covered by clouds. Clouds of ignorance cover your vision, because can anything cover the sun? No. Sun cannot be eclipsed at all, even though we say eclipse for the sake of Vyavahara, for the sake of seeing that there is a covering, and in fact you are able to see the covering because of which shine, that is the sun, which is never coverable. So too in Brahman you can happily say ignorance resides in Brahman, so to speak. Of course we have to use an as though. But we can say that without any compunction, because that Brahman which is all knowledge is not opposed to a little covering somewhere. But then let the covering be there. Why should I attend Vedanta class? What can we say? Ayushyaman bhava, ayushyamati bhava. Live long and happy. Happy being unhappy. So let the covering be there. Why we are always obsessed with covering? And people say this, Bhagavan, if Bhagavan wanted me to have Atma Vidya, Bhagavan should take care. Are Mudha, Bhagavan has already taken care. Murkha. Why? Because Bhagavan has given you a body. And Bhagavan has given you a mind, a buddhi, use it. The buddhi's use is not for, doing hedgy things like hedge funds and all these things and getting caught and all that illegal stuff. Buddhi is the main reason the buddhi is there in the adhikari sharira is for the sake of viveka, vairagya, mumukshutvam, etc. So that is what it is there for. So the buddhi is there for pursuing this knowledge, otherwise you might as well be a roach. Might as well be a tree, no problem, no need to move around, very relaxed life, and you can live long and see all the seasons, and then you can become petrified and you can be a rock, and you can say, I rock. You don't have to have this knowledge, but this ignorance is costly. The covering is a very costly covering. Why? Because when it obstructs the view of yourself, and having the buddhi there, what does it do? It makes you, it makes you have complexes, it makes you identify yourself. Because of the distortion of the covering, you see a distorted, version of yourself. In the mirrors of samsara. The mirrors of samsara are like Disney mirrors. In one the face is long and the body is small, in the other one the face is wide and everything is all out of proportion. In the third one there are many hues that are there. Many, the splintered reflection, distorted reflection. And why is it distorted? Because the covering distorts. Yeah, you cover something and then whatever light is let through this covering will always be distorted. It's a refracted version of the self that you are never able to be at peace with. Never ever. And this itself becomes the place for that, to pursue the knowledge. Because I'm not happy with myself. Because you see, Svabhavasya na nivrittihi. The Svabhava will not go. And if your Svabhava means your own Sahaja nature, whatever is your nature, will not go. Right? Yeah. So if See, the nature of the tamarind is to be sour. And suppose the tamarind had a human mind, it will not complain, I'm sour, I'm so sour, I need a little sugar, I need to sit next to the sugar. When will I become sweet? It will not, because its nature, whatever its nature is, it cannot be removed, and it's happy being what it is if it had a human mind. Therefore, we have to ask ourselves, if we are happy being what we are, then there is nothing to be changed. But one is not happy being what one is. One is constantly striving to know more, to have more, to get more, to do this, to do that, and if you get this, it's not enough. So the person who is employed says, I wish I was unemployed. I want to get rid of this company. I want to get rid of this. I want to go to some island, and sit and write a book. Obama is doing that right now. So sit and write a book somewhere far. I want to go. I want to sell my company. Please, I don't want to be employed. And the other person is saying, I want a job. Please let me have a job. Crazy, totally crazy. And then the person who is employed says, oh, I wish I had free time. And I just wish I could just be in one place. I travel so much. I'm always doing this. And the person who is in one place says, look at that executive always traveling in business class and always, eating nice food on the plane, off the plane, staying in important hotels, and then going to big conferences all over the world. And they go all over the world and they get to see and know this. And I'm stuck in, in small little middle town somewhere, And meanwhile, the executive says, I need a salary hike to be able to afford the antacids that I'm on. So, this is a mad world. Mad world, because one is not satisfied with what one has, and one is constantly insecure, and one is constantly wanting something that one cannot have. Starting with another body. Please, oh Lord, give me another body. Why? Because this one I don't like. Sorry, but in this time around, this is the body you have. But really speaking, this is all the effect of that covering. And the covering is as though, don't ask how did the covering come, because it is anadi, it did not have a birthday. You cannot celebrate the birthday of avidya. You can only celebrate its death anniversary. You cannot say how did the covering come. It did not come. The potential for the covering was there. It is always there. And the potential to remove the covering is also there. Ksharam hi avidya. Ksharam tu avidya. And then what? Hi amritam vidya. Amritam hi vidya. Hi amritam tu vidya. Ksharam tu avidya. Very beautiful and easy to understand. In Sanskrit, any kind of, if you're planning to write in Sanskrit or whatever, compose simplicity is the key to elegance. Really. You don't need big words and big compounds. Look at this, how elegant it is and how clear. It's just so clear. Avidya comes to an end. And Vidya does not come to an end. Vidya here means self-knowledge, that knowledge that you are free of everything, that you are everything. You are free from all afflictions and that you are everything. There is nothing other than you. There is nothing like you, there is nothing unlike you. That knowledge, that pure awareness, as they say, that consciousness. Pure awareness means awareness without an reference to an object. Awareness of itself, that's all. That self-shining awareness, that which we call consciousness, Brahma, is you, and it is Amritam. We have seen earlier, Amritam Vindate becomes immortal. Amrita means not subject to death. Because what is subject to death is avidya. Avidya is subject to death, not you. And you are not subject to death because you are not confined to this body, mind, sense complex. You are all over the place. You are everywhere. You are everything. Everything resides in you, everything is an extension of you, so to speak, as though, as though, as though. And even the ignorance of specific discrete things becomes a non-issue when you know that one thing which is yourself, which is the source of all things. When you know the source of all things, you don't need to know each and every, manifestation. Ekena mritpindena sarvam mrinmayam vijñātameva bhavati. One lump of clay, you study, and then you don't have to write a PhD thesis on every pot, every lid, every plate. You don't have to do that. You know that it is all clay ashraya. It is all, coming out of clay. It is being sustained by clay, and unto that clay it goes back. You already know that. Same thing with gold and ornament. You know that. And if you know milk, you know butter, you know ghee, you know yogurt, you know everything, you know burfis. In America they call them barfis. So you know all these sweet things made of milk, you know payasam, you know all these things. So one milk you have to know, that's all. So here one thing you know, and that one thing happens to be everything, happens to be manifest as everything, happens to sustain everything, and everything resolves into that I alone, which is all knowledge. So ksharam tu avidya, aksharam, amritam, hi amritam tu vidya. So you have to know that Bhagavan's, Shruti says that. And then what? Then that in which this, that the one who is in charge of both Vidya and Avidya is what? Anyaha. Anyaha. Very beautiful. Ishate. Ishate means the one who is in charge of this mad world where this Shakti, Maya Shakti operates and projects everything, distorts everything, Abharana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti, the power to project, the power to distort, all these things are there. And so in this world of objects and in this world of the ignorant subject, we have to include that as well. The ignorant subject who cannot stand his or her own ignorance, is yet one more being who is free of this dyad of knowledge and ignorance. Free of the dyad of knowledge and ignorance. And who is that? Anyaha ishate. So this Bhagavan that is, revealed as soon as you desire this knowledge, as soon as you have Atma Kamata, you are on the way to Apta Kamatvam. If you are an Atma Kama, then you are an Apta Kama. Very beautiful. So you have to choose this knowledge. And this, when you choose the knowledge, you are led to the Guru, you have the desire for the knowledge, you are led to the Guru. And then what happens? You have Viveka, that's why you make the right choice. Viveka comes first here. So first you have a Adhikari body, then you have Viveka, and then because of the Viveka you make the right choices, you choose to become an Atmakami, and then what? Then you have a teacher, and when the teacher teaches, the words of the Shruti come alive and they remove the ignorance. And that teaching, which is live in the form of the handled words of the Shruti, is opposed to ignorance. That particular, so what is opposed to ignorance is Pramana, Shabda Pramana. So the words handled by the teacher, Vritti Jnanam it is called. It is called Vritti Jnanam because it's a specific operation of the means of knowledge which talk about you as that all-knowing self, which is everything, in which everything rests. So when that knowledge is deployed, the covering shatters. That knowledge, that form of giving that knowledge is opposed to that covering. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So for that covering to shatter, for that covering to dissipate, like the fog, the sunlight which comes is a particular form of that light which is the same as that light of consciousness. but through a particular aperture. That aperture is called Shruti. That aperture is called Guru. It's a particular laser light, that is directed to shatter, to take care of little, housekeeping here. You are vacuuming, and then what? You put a particular attachment, and then you see some cobwebs there, and then you suck them up. The cobwebs are gone. So like that, it's a particular way in which, the knowledge, the all knowledge, that all knowledge which is unopposed to ignorance. All knowledge is unopposed to ignorance. It accommodates the ignorance as well. But this knowledge, of the self, which is deployed in a particular way, because it's no other way of knowing that you are the whole except by taking recourse to a teacher and to the Upanishad. You know this, and in this particular way, what happens is that covering is shattered, the covering is removed, the inhibiting factor, which is the covering, is removed, and you then see that you are not part of this tug of war of knowledge and ignorance. So that which is opposed to self-ignorance is called vritti jnanam. A particular, it is replaced because it is replaced by a particular mental frame. So the ignorance is nothing but a series of thoughts. Ignorance is a vritti, and so therefore you need to have a khandakara vritti. You need to have a jnana vritti. So this knowledge that comes through like a laser beam, of that which is the source of all light, all knowledge, that it comes in a particular way and takes care of this covering. That is what is called vritti jnanam. And because of that, you realize you are anyaha. Anyaha abhijakashiti, in that bird example in the same Upanishad. Dva suparna sayuja sakhayaha. So two birds of the same plumage and great friends, they are embracing one another. And one of them is hopping, very, very restless, very, very upset, hopping up and down, hopping up and down, hopping up and down. And then what? Restless. Why? Because it is a berry collector. It is very, very restless, and then it is collecting all the berries. And there is the other one, its friend. What is it doing? Anashnan, without eating, abhijakashiti. Abhijakashiti means it is, see that word, its source is chakasra deeptau. It just shines the light. That anyaha, that bird is Ishvara bird. The other one is the Jiva bird with the covering. The Ishvara bird is Anyaha, and when the covering is removed, there are no two birds. There is only Ishate Saha Anyaha. Very beautiful, wonderful verse, wonderful chapter. What a lovely beginning. More we will see next week, tomorrow, Kathopanishad. Okay? Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.